Welcome to Etihad Focus, your number one spot for the latest match updates, transfer news, and inside training coverage. If you love football, you're in the right place. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any breaking updates. Let's get started. Why Manchester City have signed £20 million, Marc Guehi, Pep Guardiola factor, transfer coup, player ambition. Manchester City are set to confirm the £20 million signing of Marc Guehi from Crystal Palace in the coming days. Manchester City are convinced Marc Guehi represents one of the best value deals in recent history. City will pay an initial £20 million for the England and Crystal Palace defender, rising to £30 million, depending on appearances and certain successes. There is also a percentage sell-on clause inserted in the deal, while City chairman Khaldoon Al-Mubarak has agreed to double Guehi's wages to £200,000 a week. But given some of the previous spending City have indulged in, combined with the fact Guehi is 25 and not even approaching his peak yet, senior club figures are thrilled with getting such a signing over the line. As reported here last week, City have stolen a march on Liverpool, not to mention some of Europe's biggest clubs, to land the centre-back. It's understood Palace's decision to sell Guehi before he became a free agent in June was the catalyst for Oliver Glasner deciding to leave the club at the end of this season. But this won't concern City. Pep Guardiola approached Al-Mubarak earlier this month, asking the club to explore the chances of getting Guehi, when he realised injuries to Josko Gvardiol and Ruben Dias would knock a huge hole in his defensive options. With Arsenal continuing to lead the title race, Guardiola knew he had to do something fast. Talks between the two clubs accelerated earlier this week, but Guardiola has admired Guehi from afar for a couple of seasons. He likes Guehi's calmness in possession, ability to bring the ball out of defence, and his dedication to being the best footballer he can be. The Spaniard also identified Guehi as the long-term replacement for John Stones. Guehi had his pick of around 6 clubs, including Bayern Munich and Inter Milan, but once Guardiola's interest became known to him, his mind was made up. Few players would reject the chance to work for one of the greatest managers of all time, and Guehi is no different. There is the added incentive of challenging for the biggest trophies in club football and regular Champions League competition. But Guehi has told people close to him that he expects Guardiola to take his game to a whole new level. Guehi's arrival at the Etihad will spell bad news for Stones. He is out of contract at the end of this season and was hoping to sign an extension with Guardiola's men. But no agreement has been reached, with Guardiola having reservations about the centre-back's fitness problems. Stones, who will be 32 in May, has been restricted to just 7 league appearances this season due to injuries. And he knows he will fall down the pecking order once City secure the services of England teammate Guehi. Pep Guardiola press conference, Manchester City injury updates, and Manchester United preview. Manchester City head coach Pep Guardiola will address the media this afternoon ahead of the trip to Manchester United on Saturday. Manchester City head coach Pep Guardiola will be in front of the media this afternoon ahead of tomorrow's clash with neighbours Manchester United at Old Trafford. City have enjoyed a good week leading up to the derby thanks to a 2-0 victory at Newcastle in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg. A victory in the derby would be a big statement in the title race and would move the Blues just 3 points behind Arsenal at the top. Guardiola is having to contend with several injuries at present, and it is unclear if anyone will be able to return this weekend. John Stones should be the closest to a return, but he was not ready on Tuesday night. Antoine Semenyo could be a topic of conversation this afternoon, as he made it 2 goals in as many games for his new club in midweek. With City's defence currently stretched, Guardiola may also be asked about further additions to his squad as they continue to look at Crystal Palace's Marc Guehi. From Neil Young to Yaya Toure to Oscar Bob, Manchester City fans have had some glorious moments to celebrate at St James's Park. Tuesday may not quite live as long in the memory, but everyone up in the gods certainly made the most of their night. Asking where Newcastle's famous atmosphere was early on, always believing in new boy Antoine Semenyo, and then inquiring if there was a fire drill when Ryan Cherki's effort went in, City's support was loud and punchy throughout. The home side tried to rally everyone behind them when Semenyo's second was disallowed, but the Blues made sure they were heard in the stands, just as the team did on the pitch. Heading into the derby, Guardiola has a pretty good record as City manager against United. Incredibly, he has faced them as the Blues manager on 26 occasions. This is his record against the neighbours: 14 wins, 3 draws, 9 defeats. Guardiola will be hoping he can chalk up another win against United this weekend. We are just 1 hour away from the start of Guardiola's press conference. Here's what we think could be covered in the press conference this afternoon. When asked if he would be keeping an eye on the Manchester derby tomorrow lunchtime before Arsenal's clash with Forest at 5:30 p.m, Arteta was not exactly clear on whether he would or wouldn't be tuning in from the East Midlands. City made full use of the Carabao Cup rule change and their immense finances this month to bring in Antoine Semenyo and use him against Newcastle. The £62.5 million signing now has 2 goals. It should have been 3 and an assist from his first 2 games for his new club, and has lifted them back into a space where they believe they can compete for everything this season. You can understand why Newcastle and their fans would be frustrated with Semenyo stepping into a City team that was short on players. They and others would love to be able to spend that kind of money to improve their squad when they ran into problems. Add in the fact that summer signing Ryan Cherki added the 2nd goal, and despite the fact that the Frenchman cost a third of Florian Wirtz and £25 million less than what Newcastle paid for Anthony Elanga, and you can certainly see why the usual suspects would create a narrative around Pep Guardiola spending. Obviously, he doesn't need to coach if he can spend his way out of his problems every time. Our chief City writer, Simon Bajkowski, has been answering all of your City questions this week as we reach the midway point of January. Among the topics up for discussion were Marc Guehi, Ruben Dias, and the Blues' remaining transfer plans this window. We mean business. Manchester City midfielder on Max a lane path looking to take down Arsenal. Manchester City take on Arsenal in the 4th round of the FA Youth Cup on Friday night, and Harrison Miles could be key. Pep Guardiola has thanked Watford this week for Max Allen's development, but he might want to include Southampton as well. It was on the south coast where he spent half of his childhood before Manchester City came to snap him up in 2021 ahead of his first professional contract. Alain has progressed at City and at Watford, but his success is also another feather in the cap of the Southampton Academy. The competition to sign the best young British teenagers has gone to a new level since Brexit, and City were one of several top clubs in for Alain. The same was true 2 years later when City raided Southampton again to sign England youth midfielder Harrison Miles, and the news made more headlines than most first-year scholars get. As with Elneny, City believe they have a gem in Miles, a player who is already used to training with Pep Guardiola and knew the Etihad was the right choice for him when he saw how hard even the under-18 sessions were. Trying to stop Erling Haaland steaming past you is never easy, but City's youngsters at least feel like they are going up to first-team sessions prepared for most things. It was a big decision, but as soon as City come in, I thought I had to go and exploit the opportunity. The status of the club. As soon as you hear City, you think of all the things they've done in recent times, but then you look back at what I'm going to be going into and think it's a great team aspiring to win everything, he told the Manchester Evening News. Going in and being around the boys, the culture of the team is definitely what I like, and that drew me in. I'd say I've risen to it and taken it so far. The competitiveness drew me in. The willingness to want to win everything, and that's not just the games, it's training. All the silly little competitions we make up. Everyone just wants to win. It causes arguments sometimes, but that's normal in football. That really pulled me in and made me want to be here. Any footballer wants that. You want the training to be harder than the game because then the game almost feels like you've got more time and you know what you're doing. In training, it's 1 or 2 touches that you can only take, or you get tackled and the ball is taken off you. In the games, you find the space and you feel like you've got more time than you actually probably do. Obviously, the first team standard is a lot higher because it's Man City, but you're almost used to the competitiveness and intensity because we train like that every day anyway. The things that we do as under-18s is not at the level, but you're almost used to the intensity of what the training is going to be like. Miles has had to get used to a lot since moving up from a market town in Hampshire to join City, even if with his brother now at Chelsea under-14s, there is football in the family.